No one on Earth expected the message to arrive at dawn. Most people were still half asleep when every screen, phones, TVs, billboards, even car dashboards suddenly turned blue with the same warning symbol. For a moment, the world froze. Nobody knew what was happening. Then a single sentence appeared. New galactic law. Every adult human male must host one alien girl in his home, effective immediately. There was no explanation, no reason, no choice. At first, people thought it was a joke or some kind of hack. But the seal of the Galactic Council flashed again and again, the most powerful force in the known universe. Humans had joined the Council only 5 years earlier. Even then, nobody imagined the Council would ever force a law on Earth without a vote or permission. But this law? This one changed everything. Ethan Hale. A quiet 27-year-old engineer from Ohio sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the message on his phone. He rubbed his eyes like he was dreaming, but the words didn't disappear. Ethan lived alone, worked from home, and hardly talked to anyone. Hosting an alien girl. That sounded like a bad sci-fi prank, but when he opened his curtains and looked outside, the streets told a different story. Dozens of glowing pods slowly floated down toward houses, silver oval capsules the size of humans. Neighbors came out in panic. Some screamed, some prayed, some recorded everything on their phones. The pods landed softly on lawns and sidewalks, opening like mechanical flowers. Inside each one sat an alien girl. Some had glowing hair, some had patterned skin, some had wide, bright eyes, all looking afraid, confused, and exhausted. Ethan whispered to himself, "What is happening?" A sharp alarm rang from Ethan's door. Not a normal knock, not a human sound. More like a pulse. He slowly walked toward it, heart beating hard. When he opened the door, he expected to see one pod, one girl, one alien. Instead, he saw two. Two girls stood there, trembling. Both looked around 16 or 17 in human age. Both wore thin silver fabric that clung to their small frames. Their hair glowed like soft blue fire, and their eyes had a strange violet shine. One girl stepped forward and spoke in a soft voice, "Ethan Hale. We are assigned to you." Assigned. Not requested. Not visiting. Assigned. Ethan blinked in shock. Wait, what? The law said one alien per man. Why are there two of you? The girls exchanged a quick look, as if deciding something silently. The taller one spoke again. We apologize. But there was no other choice. "Please let us in." Her voice broke. She wasn't lying. She was terrified. Ethan stepped aside slowly, letting them enter. They moved quickly, almost too quickly, like they wanted to get away from something outside. When Ethan shut the door, one girl placed her palm on it. A faint ripple of purple energy spread across the wood, sealing it. Ethan stared in confusion. "What did you just do?" "To keep the hunters out," she whispered. Ethan froze. Hunters. Neither girl answered. They both looked around his living room carefully, like they were checking for danger. Ethan watched them, confused and overwhelmed. They were tiny, fragile, shaking. Nothing like the scary aliens people imagined. He tried again. "What are you running from? Why did you come to my home?" The shorter girl turned toward him. Her eyes were full of sadness and fear so deep it made Ethan's chest tighten. "Because your name was the safest," she said. That made no sense. Ethan was nobody. A simple engineer. No military record. No criminal record. No fame. No influence. Why would two aliens believe he was safe? Before he could ask more, a loud metallic click echoed from outside, like claws tapping metal. Both girls stiffened. "They found us," the taller one whispered. Ethan stepped back, panic rising in his chest. Who found you? What do they want? The girls moved closer to him, their glowing hair flickering with fear. The hunters, the shorter girl said. They track our kind. If they discover we chose a human, they will kill you first. Ethan felt cold. They kill humans. If we bring danger to one, she said quietly, they eliminate him to send a message. Ethan's legs weakened. His quiet life was over, replaced by a nightmare he didn't ask for. He swallowed hard. What do you want me to do? The girls looked at him desperately. Just trust us, the taller one said. We came here because we had no other choice. And because you are the only one who can help us. Help you with what? The short girl hesitated, then answered with a trembling voice. Survive until tomorrow. A violent crash hit the side of the house, something heavy, strong, and not human. The windows shook. Ethan's survival instinct screamed that opening the door would be suicide. The taller girl grabbed his wrist. Ethan, please. If you don't protect us tonight, none of us will see the morning. Outside, the metallic claws scraped closer. Inside, two alien girls stood in his home, terrified but hiding something dangerous. And Ethan Hale realized one final, chilling truth. He wasn't hosting them because of a law. They were hiding with him because something deadly was following them, and that something had already found his address. Asterisk, the house shook again. Ethan stood frozen as the two alien girls held on to each other, their glowing hair flickering like frightened flames. Outside, something scraped along the wall with slow, claw-like movements. But then, it stopped. Silence returned, deep and heavy. For a moment, Ethan could only hear his own heartbeat. The taller girl whispered, "They are waiting. They know we are inside." This was not comforting. Ethan forced himself to breathe. Okay, you two need to tell me what's going on. Why are there two of you? Why did you choose me? Why are hunters? The shorter girl raised her hand, stopping him. Please, let us explain after. Not now. They can sense fear. They can sense loud thoughts. We must stay calm. Loud thoughts? Ethan asked, confused. Our species communicates partly through emotion, the taller one said softly. If we panic, they hear us. Another reason to not scream. The girls moved toward the hallway, staying close to the walls like they had done this before. Ethan followed, still shaking. When they entered his bedroom, the shorter girl quickly pulled the curtains closed and touched the window. A purple shimmer spread across the glass, another protective seal. Ethan stared. You can do energy shields. Small ones, she replied. Only enough to slow hunters, not stop them. The taller girl pointed to the bed. We should rest here. Ethan blinked. My bed. It is the warmest place, she said calmly. Your species creates stable temperature fields during sleep. It will hide our energy signature. Ethan frowned. So sleeping hides you? Yes, the shorter one said. Hunter senses are confused by human rest cycles. It is the only way we survive the night. And you want me to sleep too? Yes, great. This was the strangest night of his life. Two glowing alien girls wanted to sleep in his bed, so the universe's deadliest hunters couldn't detect them. Ethan rubbed his face and tried to stay sane. Fine, but why two of you? The law said one alien per man. Why did I get two? The girls exchanged a look, the same silent conversation he saw at the door. Then the taller girl answered. There was only one pod assigned to you. She was supposed to come alone. She placed a hand on the smaller girl's shoulder. But I am her sister. I could not let her travel alone. So I hid inside. Ethan's eyes widened. You smuggled yourself in. The smaller girl nodded shyly. She knew the hunters wanted me more than her. She came because she refuses to leave me. Ethan looked between them. They really were sisters. Their faces, their glowing hair, their violet eyes, same but different. One seemed brave, the other gentle. Still, it didn't explain why Ethan. He sat at the edge of the bed. Okay, but why me? Why did you choose my house? Why did your message pick my name? The sisters stood still, as if the question hurt them. Finally, the smaller girl whispered, "We didn't choose you because of your strength." She placed a hand over his heart. "We chose you because you have no violence inside. Humans with anger attract hunters faster. Humans, like you, confuse them." Ethan blinked. "So my boring, peaceful life saved me." "Saved us," the taller sister said. Before Ethan could reply, a loud metallic boom struck the front door. The entire house shook. The sisters gasped and pressed themselves against the wall. "They're testing the shields," the shorter one whispered. "If they break through, we cannot run." Ethan felt fear rise again, sharp, cold, crushing. He wasn't brave. He wasn't a fighter. He was just a quiet engineer who liked solving puzzles. But now he was trapped in his bedroom, with two alien fugitives and a monster outside. The taller sister climbed onto the bed and curled near the pillows, motioning Ethan to lie down. "Hunter senses are sharpest at night. If all three of us rest together, our energy signatures mix." Ethan struggled to understand. "Wait, you mean we all have to sleep in the same bed?" "Yes," the smaller girl said simply, "close together." Ethan wanted to scream. He also wanted to laugh nervously. But mostly, he wanted to survive. He slowly lay down on one side of the bed. The girls lay beside him, one on the other side, one between them. Their glowing hair dimmed, settling into soft, warm light. The shorter girl murmured, "Do not think loudly. Think calm. Think safe." Ethan tried. He breathed slowly. He closed his eyes. Another heavy clang hit the front door. The taller sister whispered, "Sleep, Ethan. If you panic, they will break in." Ethan forced his mind to quiet down. He focused on the warmth beside him. The room grew silent except for their soft breathing. Soon, darkness took over. And outside his home, something enormous moved through the night, sniffing, waiting, searching. Ethan didn't know what morning would bring. But he knew one thing for sure. The presence of two alien sisters in his bed was not a miracle. It was a warning. Ethan didn't remember falling asleep. One moment, he was trying to slow his breathing. The next, he opened his eyes to complete darkness. Not the normal soft darkness of night. This was heavier, thicker, like the air itself was holding its breath. The room felt colder too, almost frozen. For a second, he thought it was still night. But then he noticed the window. The curtains glowed faintly, not with light, with pressure. Something outside was pushing against the energy shield the sisters created. The two girls were still beside him, but their glowing hair had dimmed to almost nothing. They were pretending to be asleep, hiding their energy just like they told him. But Ethan could feel the tension in their bodies. They weren't resting. They were waiting for the thing outside to make its move. Then Ethan heard it. A slow, deep inhale, not human, not animal. Something tall and powerful was standing outside his bedroom window, breathing as if testing the air. Ethan froze completely, his muscles locking in fear. The breath scraped against the glass like a cold wind from another world. The shorter sister, barely awake, whispered without moving her lips, "Don't think loudly." He didn't know he was thinking loudly, but his heart was screaming inside his chest. Another breath. Then a long scratching sound. like metal claws dragging across the outer wall. The taller sister slowly opened her eyes. They didn't glow, they stayed dim to hide their energy. She looked at Ethan and shook her head very slightly. Do not move. But Ethan's body acted on fear, a tiny mistake. His leg twitched under the blanket. Everything outside went silent. Ethan's blood froze. Then, dash boom. A violent strike hit the window. The energy shield flared purple for a moment, holding the blow. But cracks spread across the protective shimmer. The shorter sister gasped. They found our exact location. The taller sister sat up quickly, grabbing Ethan's arm. We cannot stay in the bed. They know the bed is the warmest place. They will break the window next. Another boom hit, harder than before. This time, a piece of the shield shattered like glass made of light. Ethan jumped to his feet. What do we do? The taller sister pointed toward the hallway. Move. We must confuse them. The three of them rushed out of the bedroom. They heard heavy steps on the grass outside. Not running, stalking. The hunters enjoyed slow hunts, Ethan whispered. Are they trying to get in quietly? No, the taller girl said. They are enjoying our fear. Ethan felt a chill run across his spine. They reached the living room. Only the moonlight lit the room through the front windows. The shorter girl held Ethan's hand, her small fingers trembling. We must stay close, she whispered. If we separate, the hunters sense each heartbeat. Ethan nodded, though fear shook his bones. Then came the sound that broke all hope. The front door lock clicking. On its own, not picked, not forced, unlocked, the taller sister gasped. They have a mimic. She grabbed Ethan's wrist tightly. Mimics can copy human muscle movement. They used your movement from earlier to unlock the door. Ethan's stomach dropped. How the door slowly creaked open. Very slowly. Almost politely. Ethan's breath caught as a long, thin shadow stretched across the living room floor. A figure standing in the doorway. Not fully visible. Just a silhouette against the moonlight. The shorter sister whimpered Ethan. Don't look into its eyes. But Ethan couldn't help it. The figure stepped inside, and its eyes lit up. Not red, not yellow, but a bright, unnatural white, like two burning moons. The hunter lowered its head, sniffing the air. It was tall, almost scraping the ceiling. Its body was lean, armored with dark plates. Claws clicked against the wooden floor like knives tapping glass. It wasn't rushing. It wasn't angry. It was curious. The hunter slowly turned its head toward Ethan's bedroom first, checking the bed. When it saw it empty, it released a low growl. Then it faced the living room where Ethan stood. The girls pressed close to him. The taller sister placed a hand on his chest. Do not run. Running triggers their chase instinct. Ethan nodded shakily. His legs wanted to sprint. His mind wanted to scream. But he held still. The hunter stepped closer, very slowly. Click, click, click. Its claws tapped the floor like a countdown. It raised its head, sniffed Ethan, focusing on his heartbeat. That's not possible. The shorter sister whispered, It thinks you are. Interesting. Ethan didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified. The hunter leaned closer. So close Ethan felt its cold breath on his neck. Its white glowing eyes stared straight into Ethan's. Time stopped. Then, another shadow moved behind the hunter. A second creature, two hunters. The taller sister pulled Ethan back. We run now. All three sprinted toward the basement door as the hunters roared and lunged. The chase had begun, and Ethan realized. This was only the first attack. The basement door slammed shut behind them, and Ethan locked it with shaking hands. The sisters pressed against the wall, breathing hard. Their glowing hair flickering in fear. Above them, the hunters roared, not loud, but slow and controlled. They were enjoying the chase. Their claws scraped against the floor like metal knives being sharpened. Ethan whispered, "Tell me they can't come down here." "They can," the taller sister replied softly, but not quickly. Narrow spaces slow their bodies. Great. Not comforting. The basement was dark, except for a single small bulb. Ethan's tools were scattered everywhere. Wires, batteries, metal rods, circuits, pliers, a broken fan, a toolbox. And something else. His engineer mind finally woke up. Ethan looked around. The hunters were strong, fast, deadly, but he had something they didn't have: human creativity. He turned to the girls. "Do their senses react to electricity?" The shorter sister nodded. "Strong energy hurts them, but only if the source is sudden and close." "Good enough." Ethan grabbed wires and batteries, connecting them with shaky hands. He wasn't even thinking about fear now. His brain worked on instinct, designing, shaping, improvising. "You're making a weapon." The taller sister whispered, "A trap," Ethan said. "I can't kill those things, but I can slow them." He wrapped exposed wires around the metal handrail on the stairs. He connected the wires to a high-voltage battery pack from an old solar generator he had been fixing. The shorter sister watched with wide eyes. "You're dangerous, Ethan." "No," he said, tightening a screw with trembling fingers. "I'm terrified. That's why this will work." Above them, footsteps approached the basement door, heavy, slow. Searching, the hunters sniffed at the air, tracking their heartbeats. The taller sister placed her hand on Ethan's back. "You don't have to fight. We can hide. They want us, not you." "No," Ethan whispered. "They said they kill the human first. I don't let anyone die in my house." The metal doorknob trembled. The hunters were twisting it. Ethan pulled the sisters behind a work table. "Stay low. When the first hunter steps on the stairs, push this switch." He handed the taller sister a small metal toggle. "It'll activate the charge. Just don't touch the rail." The girls looked terrified. The shorter one whispered, "You're risking your life for us." "Why?" Ethan didn't answer. He didn't have time to explain that bravery wasn't natural for him. It came only when someone needed him. The basement door burst open. A hunter's long arm reached through first, claws cutting into the frame. The creature ducked under the doorway, bending its bone armor to fit through the narrow space. Its glowing white eyes scanned the basement. It found them instantly. With a roar, the hunter leaped onto the stairs, its claws scraping the wood. Ethan yelled, "Now." The taller sister slammed the switch. Crack CZZZZT. Electricity exploded through the metal rail. Blue sparks flashed. The hunter screamed, an awful bone-shaking sound. Its whole body jerked violently as its armor sparked, but it didn't fall. It grabbed the rail harder. Using brute strength to overcome the shock, the electricity slowed it, but didn't stop it. Ethan cursed under his breath. Damn it. Okay, second plan. He grabbed a bucket of thick machine oil and dumped it onto the stairs. The creature slipped, falling backward and slamming into the doorway with a crash that shook dust from the ceiling. The shorter sister pulled Ethan away. "We need to run. Its partner will come." But Ethan wasn't done. He rushed forward and grabbed a heavy toolbox. When the hunter tried to climb again, Ethan swung with all the force he had. Bang! The toolbox smashed into the creature's head. It roared in rage, but slipped again on the oily stairs, sliding back. The taller sister whispered, shocked, "Ethan, you heard it." "No," he said breathlessly. "I annoyed it." Big difference. They could hear the second hunter now, claws tapping above, waiting for its partner. The first hunter, still twitching from the electricity, tried again to climb. It reached the third step when Ethan saw a metal support bar by the stairs. He grabbed a wrench, loosened the bolts, and kicked the bar free. The stairs collapsed halfway. The hunter fell again, crashing into the darkness, buried under broken wood. The smaller sister grabbed Ethan in a panic. "We need to leave. They will break the foundation." Ethan nodded. "Back exit. Now." They raced to the old emergency door in the basement, pushing it open into the cold night. The sisters stepped out first. Ethan followed, but then stopped. He heard a sound. Behind him, the fallen hunter was alive, breathing hard, growling, recovering. But it wasn't looking at the sisters now. It was staring at Ethan, not with rage, not with hunger, but with interest, as if it had found something new, something dangerous, something worth hunting. Ethan ran into the night, the sisters pulling him away. The hunters would come again. But now they knew something they did not expect. The human in the house wasn't prey. He was a problem. Cold night air hit Ethan's face as he ran across the yard behind his house. The taller sister held his hand tightly, pulling him faster than his tired legs could manage. The shorter sister kept looking back, watching the basement door as if expecting the hunters to burst through at any second. They reached the tree line behind the houses and hid between thick shadows. The moonlight barely touched their faces, but Ethan could see fear in their glowing purple eyes. The shorter sister whispered, "They will return soon. They never give up a trail." Ethan leaned against a tree, breathless. "Who are they really? Why are they after you? What did you two do?" The sisters exchanged a long, silent look. Something heavy passed between them. Guilt, fear. Maybe a secret they didn't want him to know. The taller one finally spoke softly. "Ethan, we didn't tell you everything." Ethan's heart sank. "I figured that out. Start talking." The shorter sister stepped closer, her voice trembling. "We are not normal citizens from our world. We are a branch cracked behind them." The girls froze. Ethan spun around, ready for another attack. But it wasn't a hunter. It was a small animal, a raccoon staring at them with confusion. Ethan exhaled with relief, but the taller sister placed a hand on his arm. "This is why we must tell you now." Her eyes glowed brighter. "Because you are in danger simply by knowing us." The shorter girl curled her fingers together nervously. "Ethan, we are royal blood sisters." Ethan blinked. "Royal-like. Princesses." They nodded. "But our family," the taller sister said, voice breaking, "was destroyed by a faction inside the Galactic Council. The hunters serve that faction." Ethan felt the ground shift under him. "So you're fugitives?" "Yes," the younger one whispered. "And the hunters want to erase our entire bloodline. We are the last two left." Ethan felt a deep ache in his chest. These girls weren't just running for survival. They were running because they had no home left. He stepped closer. "But you said something earlier, that your powers only work near a human host. What does that mean?" The taller girl hesitated. "On our world, our bloodline has special abilities. We can bend energy, manipulate gravity, sense life forces. But our powers are unstable. They need a stable frequency to ground them." The younger sister pointed to Ethan's chest. "Humans are perfect stabilizers. Your biology calms our power, lets it work properly." Ethan stared at them in disbelief. "So you came to Earth because you needed a human to activate your abilities?" "Yes," they said quietly together. "And you picked me because I'm calm." The shorter girl smiled sadly. "Because your mind is peaceful. Your heart is steady. You make our energy balanced." Ethan rubbed his forehead. "So basically, I'm like a walking battery organizer." The sisters didn't understand the joke, but they nodded seriously. He sighed. "Okay, Then use your power now. Fight the hunters. End this." The girls looked away, ashamed. The taller one spoke softly. "We cannot. Not fully." "Why?" "Our power only activates when we share a bond with the human host," the younger said. "A deep emotional connection. Without that bond, we can barely defend ourselves." Ethan stared. "You mean like love?" The sisters blushed instantly, their glowing hair flickering pink. The younger one whispered, "Not love, but trust. A heart link. A shared life. We bond with humans only when we feel safe with them." Ethan's heart thumped. "And you don't feel safe with me?" The taller sister looked directly into his eyes. "We trust you, Ethan, but trust alone doesn't form the bond. It happens naturally, when the human chooses to protect us not from duty, but from heart." Ethan felt uneasy. "This bond, what does it do?" The shorter one whispered, "It multiplies our strength, turns fear into power, turns energy into force. With a strong bond, we could destroy hunters, and without it, we only have small powers," she said. "Barely enough to shield or hide." Ethan pressed his hands to his forehead. "Great. So you need me emotionally before you can defend yourselves." Suddenly, the taller sister froze. Her eyes widened. She looked toward the forest. "They're coming." Ethan tensed. "How many?" The younger one placed a shaking hand on his chest. "2, no. 3, Ethan's blood went cold. 3 hunters, not 1. Not 2.3. The taller sister grabbed his hand. "Ethan, listen. You are our chance. Our powers respond to your bravery. When you fought back in the basement, our energy rose. That's why the hunters looked at you strangely." The younger sister whispered, "You are important now. Not because we chose you, but because they fear what you might become." Ethan swallowed hard. "What do I become?" The taller sister stepped closer and said softly, "A bonded human, the only being in the galaxy who can turn us into something unstoppable." Roar echoed through the trees. Branches snapped, claws scraped. The hunters had found them. The taller sister squeezed Ethan's hand. "Ethan, tonight you decide. Run as prey, or rise with us as something new." Ethan looked at the forest. He heard the hunters closing in, and for the first time, he felt something inside him shift, not fear. But fire tonight would change everything. The forest exploded with sound. Trees cracked. Branches fell. The roars of the 3 hunters shook the night like thunder. Ethan, breathless, pulled the 2 sisters behind him as they ran deeper into the woods. Their glowing hair flickered wildly with panic. "Don't look back." The taller sister yelled. Ethan didn't want to, but he heard claws smashing through bark, getting closer every second. They reached a clearing when the younger sister suddenly grabbed Ethan's arm. "Stop." Ethan slid to a halt. "We can't stop there, right behind us." "No," she whispered. "Something else is here." Ethan felt it too, an invisible thrum in the air, like the world was holding its breath. The ground vibrated softly, then stronger. Then suddenly light swallowed everything. A blinding white flash erupted from above, and a circular shockwave rippled across the clearing. Ethan shielded his eyes. The sisters covered their faces when the light faded. The hunters were gone, so were the trees, so was the forest. Ethan blinked in shock. "What? What happened?" The taller sister's voice trembled. "No, no, no. This is worse. Much worse." A deep hum echoed through the air as a massive shadow descended from the sky. It wasn't a creature, was a ship. Smooth black metal, like a floating blade. With symbols glowing along its surface, the younger sister whispered. "The Galactic Council found us," before Ethan could react. Metal restraints shot from the ship thin, snake-like coils that wrapped around his arms and legs. The same coils grabbed the sisters. Ethan tried to fight, but the metal tightened instantly and lifted him off the ground. The taller sister screamed, "Ethan, stay calm. They won't kill you." That didn't comfort him at all. They were pulled inside the ship through a shimmering doorway. The interior was cold, silent, and bright white lights, silver surfaces, and floating screens showing symbols Ethan didn't understand. A group of tall figures stood waiting. Their bodies were sleek and metallic, but their faces were masks of shimmering energy. These weren't hunters. These were council enforcers. One stepped forward, its voice echoing like several people speaking at once. "Unidentified human. Your presence in this case is unexpected." Ethan glared. "Your hunters tried to kill me." "That was not authorized," the enforcer replied calmly. "Hunters are controlled by a rogue faction." The sisters gasped. Ethan frowned. "So it's true. Someone inside your council is trying to kill them?" The figures didn't answer. Instead, they scanned the sisters with beams of light. The sisters struggled, but the restraints tightened. The enforcer spoke again. "The younger one carries royal blood. Extremely rare. Extremely dangerous." Ethan snapped. "Dangerous for who?" "They're just running for their lives." The enforcer turned its glowing face toward him. Human emotion, predictable. Ethan gritted his teeth. "Then listen to me. Your own people are trying to wipe them out." The ship suddenly rumbled like turbulence, but deeper. The lights above flickered. The enforcers glanced at each other. The younger sister whispered, "They're here." Ethan's heart dropped. "Who's here?" A new voice echoed through the ship, low, rumbling, and full of venom. "The hunters." The enforcers looked at the ceiling as deep scratches dragged across the outer hull. The rogue hunters had followed the ship. A loud metallic crash shook the entire vessel. The older sister screamed, "Ethan! If they break inside, they will kill everyone, including council forces." Another crash. The enforcers struggled to maintain control as the ship tilted sideways. Ethan swung helplessly in his restraints. Then, without warning, a mamasi explosion tore through the left side of the ship. The hull split open. Debris flew. The vacuum pulled everything outward. Ethan felt himself yanked toward the breach. The younger sister screamed his name. Ethan's body flew through the broken wall. But something grabbed him. A small hand, warm, fiercely gripping. The younger sister, she held on to him with all her strength, her glowing hair whipping in the wind. "Hold on, Ethan, please." The taller sister grabbed both of them, forming a chain as the ship spun wildly in space. The hunters forced their way inside dark shapes crawling across the broken hull, snarling like beasts starved for blood. One hunter lunged toward them. The younger sister cried out, "Ethan, trust us." She pressed her forehead against his. A shock ran through Ethan's body, a rush of warmth, light, and emotion. Something awakened between them, a bond, a spark of shared fear, shared hope, shared survival. The sisters' eyes glowed bright, blindingly bright. Energy surged from their bodies, swirling into Ethan like electricity entering a conductor. A wave of light exploded outward, throwing the hunters across the ship. The enforcers stared in shock. The taller sister whispered, awed and breathless. The bond, it formed. Ethan didn't know what he had just become, but the hunters knew. They stopped attacking. For the first time, the hunters stepped back, and Ethan realized they were afraid of him. The ship hung in the sky like a wounded beast, sparks spilling into the dark clouds. The hunters crawled across the damaged hull, recovering from the blast of energy the sisters and Ethan released. Inside, alarms echoed through broken corridors. Lights flickered. Smoke drifted through the air. Ethan stood between the two sisters, breathing heavily. His hands glowed faintly soft, silver light pulsing in his veins like living electricity. The sisters held both of his arms, their energy flowing into him in waves. The bond was real now, and powerful. The taller sister whispered, "Ethan, can you feel it?" "Yes," he breathed. "I feel everything." He didn't mean it poetically. He could feel the ship's metal shaking, the hunters moving on the hull, the fear in the sisters' hearts, and, strangely, his own strength rising higher. The younger sister stepped closer. "You are connected to us. Your courage feeds our power. And your power," Ethan said softly, "feeds mine." Another crash hit the hull. The ship tilted again, metal screaming in protest. The hunters were breaking in one section at a time. The sisters squeezed his hands. "We must fight," the taller one said. "This is the only moment we have." The younger sister looked at Ethan, her eyes filled with worry. "Are you scared?" Ethan exhaled. "I'm terrified," he admitted, but then smiled. "But I'm not running." Both sisters' glowing hair flared brighter at his words. The bond grew stronger. A massive hole tore through the wall behind them. A hunter climbed through its claws, dripping sparks from metal it had ripped apart. Its glowing white eyes locked onto Ethan. But this time, Ethan didn't step back. He stepped forward. The hunter roared and charged. Ethan lifted his hand. The world exploded. Light blasted from his palm, white and sharp like a star. The hunter was thrown backward, slamming into the far wall so hard the metal dented around its body. Ethan stared at his own hand in shock. "How did I?" "It's the bond," the younger sister whispered. "You are using our power, stronger than we ever could." Another hunter burst in from the ceiling, and another from the floor. 3 hunters now circled them, claws raised, jaws snapping. But they weren't roaring anymore. They were cautious, afraid. The taller sister stepped beside Ethan. "Together," she said, "focus on us." Ethan nodded, tightening his grip on their hands. The hunters leaped. The sisters' eyes blazed violet. Ethan's body glowed silver. 3 beams of energy shot forward, one from each of them, merging into a single wave of blinding white. Boom! The hunters were thrown across the chamber like broken dolls. Their armor cracked. Their claws shattered. Their glowing eyes flickered. One tried to stand and failed. Another crawled toward the exit and collapsed. The third stayed completely still. Silence fell. Not a peaceful silence, a shocked one. The Galactic Council enforcers, who had survived the attack, stepped out from the smoke. They stared at Ethan like he was something impossible. Even the taller sister whispered, almost in awe, "Ethan, you defeated them." "No," Ethan said quietly. "We defeated them." The enforcers moved closer. Their leader spoke in its calm, echoing voice, the bond between human and royal blood. "It was only a theory. We never believed it could be real." Ethan stared back. "Now you've seen it." The enforcer bowed its head slightly. The sisters are no longer fugitives. With this bond, they are protected under council law. The younger sister gasped. "You mean, we're safe?" "For now," the enforcer answered. "But the rogue faction will not stop. They know the bond exists. They know the human is dangerous to their plans." Ethan stepped forward. "So what now?" The enforcer motioned toward a control panel. "You go home. Your world is safer with you on it. And the sisters. They are free to stay with the human they bonded with." Both sisters looked at Ethan, eyes wide, glowing softly, filled with emotion he could finally understand. Minutes later, the ship lowered them back to Earth. Ethan's house was half destroyed, the forest torn apart, the night sky still glowing from the battle. The sisters stood on each side of him, leaning against him. Exhausted but alive. The taller one whispered, "You've protected us, even when you had nothing." The younger one added, "And you made the bond form. That means we belong with you now." Kesa smiled tiredly. "Well, I guess that makes 3 of us in one house." The sisters blushed, glowing softly. A small device in Ethan's pocket beeped. A new message appeared on the screen. "Notice 2 bonded alien girls registered to your residence. Additional requests pending." Additional requests. Ethan read aloud, confused. The younger sister peeked at the message and her jaw dropped. "There are 3 more alien girls requesting to join your protection." Ethan froze. "What?" The taller sister looked at him with a mischievous smile. "Ethan Hale, it seems the galaxy has plans for you." The night breeze blew gently as all 3 stood together, bruised, glowing, bonded. And Ethan knew this wasn't the end. This was the beginning.